Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for this Videosign webinar, Agreeing Contracts Remotely and Compliantly During a Pandemic. We've got a global audience with us this morning, or this afternoon for the UK. So good evening to those in New Zealand and Australia. Good morning to those in the US. Just to check that you are all awake, we're gonna just do a quick poll just to make sure that you are here and well and truly coffeed up. So a quick poll for you, and I'll just continue just introducing the event. So in this webinar, we will be discussing the impacts of the pandemic in agreeing business and how we can use technology while still meeting compliance and regulatory obligations to still sign contracts. So today I'm joined by Chris McNicholas of Swinford Insurance, Neil Summers from Moonstone Information Refinery in South Africa, and Stephen Talent, CEO of Videosign. I'm Tony Capper. I'm Sales Director for Videosign, and I'll hopefully do my best to compare you through the day. So before I let the speakers introduce themselves, hopefully everyone's had a go on the poll. Stephen, what are the quick results, please?
Yeah, hi Tony, thanks for introducing us. Yeah, as expected, we've got a lot of people using Zoom and Teams, and all the big names there, none for others. So like we expected, everybody's on Zoom, everyone's on Teams. The most popular video conferencing platform we've got going. Nobody for Skype though. Skype's a bit of a straggler there.
So, thanks, Stephen. Neil, do you want to introduce yourself first, and as we go around the room?
Yeah, I'll do that. Thanks, Tony. Hi to everyone who's joining us. I'm Neil Summers, and I look after business development for Moonstone Information Refinery. We are basically a compliance company that focuses on the financial services sector in South Africa. We also provide regulatory exams on behalf of our regulator, which is the FSCA, or the Financial Services Commissioning Authority. And we've got a training arm. We do certain things in technology as well. And yeah, I guess, even if I end up saying myself, quite well placed within financial services, specifically in South Africa.
Thanks, Neil.
Anything else?
Neil, no, that's perfect. Thank you very much. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello and thank you. My name is Chris McNicholas. I'm an ex-commercial banker. I'm the owner of two companies based in the financial services sector. One which is Swinford Consultants, which helps the SME market grow and increase profitability. The second is a company called Swinford Life, which provides life insurance and other protection products to the consumer as well as the SME community. So it's a highly regulated company within the UK.
Brilliant, thanks, Chris. Stephen, extra challenge for you, please. Can you introduce yourself, but also for those that aren't aware and understand what Videosign is, spend a couple of minutes talking about that, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Stephen Talent. I'm the CEO of Videosign. I was the head of product at Videosign before becoming the CEO at the end of last year. And yeah, for those who don't know what Videosign is or what it does, Videosign is a platform for getting business done remotely. So there's three parts to the product. There's the verification service, the meeting service, and the e-signature service. So I'll take you through a few slides now just so you can see what that typical user journey is like within Videosign. So initially you want to identify your customers. You want to verify their identity. So rather than sending things through the post, you can do that now quite easily with an in-browser mobile phone application. So we call it Videosign Verify. And using the mobile phone, your customers can take a picture of their passport, take a selfie, and then we use a bunch of background services to compare the faces in the selfie and the documents, make sure that the person is a living human, that they're not just holding up a photo to the camera to trick it. And then we do a bunch of checks on the document to make sure it hasn't been tampered with and that it's legit. The result is a document like this, which is returned to the requester to show that the identification has been successful and that all of the checks have been carried out. This takes about 60 seconds in comparison to the age-old process of sending documents in the post, where things go missing and it's rife for fraud. So that's the verification service. Once you're verified, you can come into the Videosign meeting room, which is fully in the browser. So we don't have anything to download or install. It's one click and you're in the meeting. We do a detailed browser check and check the user's firewall settings to make sure that they're going to have a good meeting experience. Once in the meeting, people can chat, conduct business, collaborate on documents, and then, of course, they can sign documents. Now, different to your typical e-signature platform, all of our signatures happen within the meeting room, and everybody can see what's going on. It can be witnessed, and that document is front and center in a face-to-face meeting, which is great for avoiding fraud. It's great for identifying who's in the meeting at any time. But just to go one step further, we also automatically record video footage and still images of all the participants at the point of a signature. You can also see the signature being formed in real time. So it's the nearest thing to witnessing a signature in an actual meeting room. So I do have a short video which I can show you of a typical two-person meeting in Videosign. So this is the Videosign user interface. You can, as I say, you can launch a document, collaborate on it, place tags which are linked to a user. Here we see the host signing. We can see the host forming their signature, very simply applying that signature to a document. And then it's the same with the client. The client can put their signature on the document. The host can see them form the signature as they do it. And once they've done that, the video of the signature being placed and the person placing the signature is recorded and stored in a secure cloud location. And once that document is finalized, it's also tamper-proof, so it can't be re-signed by any other application. And we append all of the audited information and photographs onto the bottom of that document, so it's clear who signed what and when. So yeah, Videosign is very easy to understand when you see it in action. And of course, the difference between Videosign and typical e-signature platforms is quite clear as well. Over to you, Tony.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Stephen. Just for everyone, the chat, the Q&A is open in the chat bar, so please ask any questions. Stephen, do you want to make our heads kind of a bit bigger so people can see us talking, I suppose? Yes. So what we're going to do is just going to have a little bit of a panel session and ask our panelists a few questions and just take us through that, the kind of the subject of the webinar. So I suppose question first, I'm going to ask Chris, I suppose how have things changed for you over the last nearly 12 months now? And how has it been?
Well, if we take a sort of step back from that, sort of over the last 10 years, compliance in my sector has massively increased, and quite rightly so. But if we go back 12 months, I would often have a situation whereby I would either interact with an individual on a recorded line, or most of the time be a face-to-face interaction. Now, the face-to-face interaction would undoubtedly mean I would have to get individuals to sign certain documents to say they understood the terms and conditions. They were happy to discuss what we were going to talk about, and then go through that stage process before we'd actually get into the sort of the crux of the meeting, so to speak. Now, obviously with the pandemic, face-to-face is out the window. That option isn't there unless we use something like Videosign. Videosign has allowed me to go back to interacting on a one-on-one basis or a multiple basis with clients who could be in their own homes, a couple of partners spread, or a couple of directors spread about, and myself possibly in my own home. And I can still transact business. I can still have a situation whereby I meet my compliance regulatory needs,
Brilliant.
but without any sort of big hassle or massive inconvenience.
Thanks, Chris. That's brilliant. Thank you. I suppose, Neil, same question to you. I suppose how things changed over the last 12 months and how has it been? You're on mute, Neil, unfortunately.
Thank you. Thanks, Tony. I guess it's been an incredibly challenging time for anyone in business globally. I think there's been a number of issues that people have had to face. There've been a number of decisions that have had to be made, and most of those are, I guess, revolve around the way people interact now. And of course, so there's been this massive uptake in shall we say, digital engagement. And I think that people are only now beginning to realize the actual challenges relating to things like video meetings. So, you know, luckily technology was at a stage where we were able to immediately do that migration. So we were able to get onto Zoom or Teams or WebEx, you know, whatever was available. And with the correct sort of internet connectivity, we were able to conduct business. We were able to keep going. I think what we found is that there've been pros and cons. I think that the pros are, you know, less stress relating to travel. I think that certain budgets have obviously been trimmed, and that makes sense from an operational point of view. I for one, you know, lack of running around, stress levels are way down. Yeah, one of the lucky ones. However, having said that, I think there's a whole sort of psychology now around video meetings and how we interact using digital engagement, and what we do in terms of how we engage with our clients, and how we continue to build that sort of rapport and that trust, which was critical during face-to-face meetings. So I think that we're also learning what technologies work, what technologies don't work. I don't want to ramble on too much here.
No,
but,
yeah. I completely agree, Neil. That the interactive and how you actually deal with the video is a whole so thank you. Can I just ask? Mute, please, Neil. Echoing, sir. Thank you. That's brilliant. Thank you both, Chris and Neil, on that one. One of the interesting bits, and I think it's changed a lot and probably still needs to change, is the question of that compliance and actual the rules and regulations that the businesses have actually got to adhere to in that new universe. Now, I know, Stephen, you've been doing an awful lot of research on this piece. So I wouldn't mind if you wouldn't mind kind of introducing this section and just giving us what your take on what's changed and what actually still needs to change.
Yeah, sure. So the last 12 months have been a crazy time for us. We've been singing this song for a while, and the pandemic has showed everybody that what we deliver is actually a useful service that people didn't know they needed until now. So there's a lot of laws that are being changed, either permanently or temporarily, to accommodate remote work. So within legal services, financial services, and of course across all industries, adopting to people working from home, customers being at home, everybody being at home is being difficult. I think people thought that this would all be resolved by now, particularly coming towards the end of last year. I think people were looking forward to the new year and that everything was going to be over. And of course, we started January with more of the same. So yes, Videosign is a great product for this current climate. But even beyond that, I think people aren't necessarily going to go back to exactly how they were doing business before. I'm not saying that some people aren't itching to get back into the office, but companies have learned how working from home can be a good thing, and so have people. And also, they're going to have to learn to weave this into the way they work moving forward. So I think there's going to have to be a bit of both, remote work and work from home.
Thanks very much, Neil. I suppose from you're saying a South African interview. Is anything from your side?
So I think what we've seen is are a couple of attempts from the regulator to actually embrace this new way of working, or this video meetings, etc., etc. I also think that our current regulatory environment, especially around the peripherals. So it's one thing being able to engage via video. It's one thing being able to record sessions. We also need to consider the supporting sort of regulatory environment, and that's around things like electronic signatures. And are we adapting fast enough within a regulatory framework to allow for those type of actions to take place and be recognized as legal and binding? So I know that globally there's obviously a move to have things like electronic signatures managed and regulated. I know that we started off very well probably about 8 years ago in South Africa, and that's where we left it. So we haven't really progressed from there. So purely from a South African context, yes, we have certain legislation in place. Is it the right legislation? I don't, my feeling is not yet. Does it allow us to actually continue with doing business though electronically or online? Yes, it does. So it's not, it's not a complete train smash. I think that also worldwide there are a number of sort of initiatives that are taking place, and our FSCA is definitely trying that. They're developing fintech hubs and sandboxes and the like. So that's becoming more available, which is terribly useful. And then the ability to engage with the regulator at that level also makes a lot of sense. But things like signing wills and mortgage bonds and that type of thing, traditionally we've had to have wet signatures, and even now we still have to have wet signatures. So I think that for standard contracts. We're good in the e-sign space or the e-signatory space. For anything that has very much required some sort of wet signature, whether ranging from an affidavit to a suretyship in the past, that still hasn't changed. So those are sort of challenges that we're becoming au fait with now. I think what has placed us apart from maybe the rest of the world is our regulator and their willingness to engage around. We offer regulatory exams on behalf of the regulator, and they've been incredibly supportive in our bid to actually offer those exams online. So we can now offer regulatory exams on behalf of the FSCA online, and in fact, as part of that actual offering, we're using Videosign. We're using Videosign for the onboarding. I'm not wanting to preempt anything here. So I'll carry on until stop. So we're offering regulatory exams via Videosign. The onboarding on the exam, so exam sign up, any terms and conditions that need to be signed, any documents such as copies of IDs and things that need to be uploaded, that all gets put into a meeting room, and then the actual exam itself, although it takes place in a secure browser. Sorry, I'm not wishing to be overly technical here because I'm mindful of the topic that we're discussing. Even though that exam does take place in a secure browser, we're actually putting that whole, shall we say, process into a Videosign meeting room. So it's great. I mean, we can sort of manage fraud, we can manage cheating from there, and we can record the whole session as well. So there are a number of really pros that have come to the fore, and we've been lucky in the sense that we've been allowed to actually go and, I guess, experiment and put things together to create some sort of working solution which suits, I guess, both your candidate, the provider of the exams ourselves, and then the regulator as well. Let's not forget them.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you. That's really interesting use case. So really appreciate that. Right, just to make sure everyone's still awake, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be, but we'll just do another quick poll if Stephen doesn't mind pressing the magic of buttons. Obviously we've got people are still signing contracts now. Not all of them are using Videosign just yet. So there's a list of a few different options there. We'll let you quickly press buttons away. We'll just give you a moment to do that. So the next question I'm going to ask the panelists before I go into some really good questions that have come through on the chat is, I suppose, I know that we are vaccinating everyone in the UK as fast as possible. I suppose, do you actually ever see it going back to that old way of doing things face to face and the good old pen and paper, or is it actually going to be a case of we need to adopt this new way of working and just find the best solutions that are out there? Before I go to Chris with that one, I'm going to make sure that Stephen comes back to us with the quick answers on the poll. And I reckon it's going to be pen, paper, and post that'll still be highest.
You're right, and I was actually going to say how surprised I was at that, but yeah, thanks everyone for filling that in. DocuSign is second to pen, paper, and post, and DocuSign coming in third. So yeah, a lot of people are still using pen, paper, and post, which is surprising. But yeah, give us a call. We've got a better way of doing things now.
Right, let's have our faces back in. So I suppose, yeah, Chris, how do you think? Do you see it going back to normal? And also, I suppose from your life perspective, we didn't get to touch base on it just before. What Have the regulators changed in that market yet, or is that still need to catch up?
It's a movable feast, if I'm honest. Solicitors, without sort of giving them such a hard time, are very much still inclined to want the pen, paper, post method. Financial organizations are trying to be more slicker. Financial institutions now are signing loan documents via e-sign, and that could be a loan for £1,000. It could be £1 million. That would have been probably unheard of a few years ago. Are we going to go back to a normal? No. What we're going to go back to or forward to is a new normal, where we will embrace the technology. We will move, I believe, further forward. I believe we're in a society where everyone wants everything pretty much yesterday. And this, to some degree, provides a solution to that. So, and equally, it's compliant. And the compliance, touched on something Neil said earlier, the compliance can actually foster trust and build the company relationship and actually build the brand. Compliance doesn't always have to be that sort of nasty thing overlooking your shoulder. It can actually be embraced for innovation, and the consistency off the back of that could actually drive a lot of financial companies forward, is my belief.
That's a really interesting point, that Stephen. Chris, sorry. Thank you. Neil, I suppose same question to you. How do you see things going forward?
So just to add to what Chris has said, and I think absolutely it is. It's going to be the new normal. It's going to be far more orientated towards the ability to move quickly, the ability to get stuff done instantly. That whole instant gratification thing that we, as I guess as human beings, are susceptible to. I do think it might, in certain instances, we'll be looking at a bit of a hybrid model there, depending on what sort of sector we're dealing with. But for the main part, just given the benefits of the sort of online interaction, it's going to be the new normal, and we're going to have to find ways of dealing with it, both the good and the bad.
Brilliant, thank you. Stephen, what's your take on it? You're looking at more of these different technologies and that whole market at the moment. What's your take?
Yeah, well, I think Neil's just hit the nail on the head when he said it's going to be a hybrid when we go back. I think industry now has to accommodate both ways of work, remote and in person. But importantly, not just to satisfy their workforce, but also to satisfy their customers, because people aren't going to be rushing to go into offices straight off as soon as things have moved forwards. But the importance of face-to-face is exactly why people are interested in Videosign, because instead of sending a document for someone to coldly sign, you can do it in person. So it's bringing that human element to a meeting back into digital. So yeah, a hybrid approach moving forwards.
Cool. Right. Brilliant. Thank you all. Right. We've had loads and loads of questions in. So I'm going to pick my favorite one first. We've got someone here that's got Zoom and DocuSign. Do I need Videosign as well? Question, Stephen.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's one we get asked a lot. Most of our customers have got another video conferencing platform and another digital signature platform that they use in tandem. But there is stark differences between what we do and what they do. So if you have Zoom or another platform, then great. But Videosign is not a video conferencing platform. It's a signature platform with video conferencing built in. Now, Zoom is not necessarily made for professionals. It's a great tool, but I did see an article today where somebody couldn't switch off their cat face filter. What I would say is that if you are going to use one of these other platforms, make sure you configure it properly so that it can be used in a professional sense. We're focusing on that niche market where documents need to be signed, it needs to be witnessed, and it's important to capture the evidence of that. So we would like to compare ourselves more with DocuSign or with Adobe Sign rather than Zooms and Teams. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're a sign-in platform with video built in. If you already have a sign-in platform, then great. But we're generally cheaper than those, and we offer the video conferencing as standard. We also offer unlimited signatures, meetings, and storage. So if it comes down to price and what you get for your money, I think we've got a really good offer in there.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. Right, I'm going to look through. There's a really long question that I hope Stephen's reading, because are there any browsing capabilities outside the context of the contract? For example, if you're going through a quotation tool and calculator jointly with the customer and providing remote guidance on their online journey via a website or portal, that's achievable, isn't it?
Yeah, and thanks, Lazar, for that question. Yes, as Neil mentioned, his company are not just using it for financial advice, but they're also using it for examinations. You can do the typical video conferencing stuff through Videosign, like you could share your desktop and things like that. So you can use it really wherever a contract needs to be signed, or for screen sharing, guiding people through documents and capturing that advice and intent before a transaction happens. So yeah, it's really flexible in that way. But good question.
Oops. Neil, have you got anything else you'd like to add? Because I find that use case of using it for the examinations really really quite cute, especially if my daughters are going to stay at home for another 6 months. There's no way they're going to let them to skive off their GCSEs and A levels.
No, I guess not. I think that the whole, well, one, the regulatory environment, but also just your academic environment has had to come up with some very should we say innovative ways of dealing with the pandemic and dealing with the the need for social distancing, and obviously platforms like your different LMSs allow for certain learning to take place online, but there are challenges when one is faced with things like high stakes examinations. So I guess that our use of Videosign really just adds a layer of security, a layer of we probably, and a layer of confidence. We feel quite confident about being able to offer exams in this space and then manage those exams accordingly. And I also think that it's great because it gives us and not to put too fine a point on it, we can brand the meeting rooms, etc., etc. So it adds a really professional aspect to the provision of our services, and that goes for anything. That's whether contracts are being signed or exams are being offered. It's exactly the same type of thing from a professional sort of point of view, and then obviously from the brand. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
So just looking at these other questions, we've got a question about, where's it gone? It says, can you kindly elaborate again regarding the onboarding process, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the question is about our onboarding process or how we can be used for onboarding. So I'll answer both, I guess. If you If you want to be on board as Videosign, then you can do that through our website, or you can contact us and we can arrange bespoke deals if you're an enterprise customer, and our small business pricing is on the website, and you can buy that there. If you're inquiring as to how we can be used as part of the onboarding process, then that's actually one of our biggest use cases. Videosign is a great tool for onboarding new customers. If you think about the problem of deal abandonment, by sending a contract to onboard a client via email or other means, so that they essentially can give themselves a chance to talk themselves out of it, or maybe they don't understand parts of it. And if you were there during the signing of that contract, you could answer such questions. You can see why for onboarding, Videosign is fantastic, because you get to meet with people, discuss the contract, sign it there and then, and of course create a whole wealth of evidence around that. So yeah, great for onboarding.
Brilliant for objection handling as well from a sales point of view. But there we go, that's a different conversation. Stephen, on there is a couple of questions that I'm going to answer. So can it be used for sports contracts? It can be used for any contract, is as simple as Videosign can be. So anytime that you need to meet and agree anything, whether that's examination right through to signing of a contract, it can be used for those. Stephen, there's a bit of interest around will writers and IFAs and solicitors using the platform. So I don't know if you just want to touch on that, because I know there's some interesting legalities on that.
Yeah, so as far as financial advice goes, that's actually our biggest market. So we're used by some of the biggest names in wealth management and wealth advice. So yeah, we can be used for that, and we are used for that. In terms of legal services, yes, Videosign is perfect for legal services. If you'd asked me that a year ago, the answer would be slightly less enthusiastic. But since digital signatures were officially recognized within law at the end of 2019, that was prior to the pandemic, there've been a number of changes, and there's a number of cases which a lot of people are looking at attentively and using. For example, there's a case called the Mercury case, which allows conveyancers to now offer a hybrid approach. So it's not fully digital, but more and more digital is coming into this workflow. So for example, with a will, you can now sign a will remotely, but you've still got to use pen and ink. And for deeds as well, there's a lot of pressure on the lawmakers to bring in new laws to allow deeds to be witnessed and signed fully digitally and remotely. So yeah, it's a perfect time for legal services to use this. Now, I would say that for 90% of contracts, it's totally fine, and we go above and beyond the regulatory requirements for typical contracts. So although there's no requirement to capture video evidence of the signee, it only strengthens that signature in case it's ever brought into repudiation. So yeah, fantastic for legal services.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I've got one other question before we bring it to a close. Stephen, I think this is going to be for you. Do documents need to be in Videosign ahead of the meeting, or can you just bring them in whilst you're there?
Yeah, so we've made that flexible. You can prepare a meeting ahead by putting documents in there, and you can even place tags on them so that when somebody comes in to sign that document, they can only sign in a fixed place, which is only for them. So if you've got a bunch of people signing a document, everybody knows where they sign. It's nicely color-coded. But similarly, you can bring the documents in during the meeting. If you forgot to upload one, you can do it, upload or download documents directly from the meeting room.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm pretty sure, I'm just scanning through the rest of the questions, Stephen. There isn't any other ones we haven't answered there, is there? I think we've got all of them there.
There's one actually. How much is Videosign? I think I touched on that before, but it depends is the answer on how many people are going to be using it. We base our price on user numbers. So with all of our packages, you've got unlimited meetings, unlimited signatures, unlimited storage. The price ranges from between £10 and £20 per user, depending on numbers. But if you look at the market, that's very competitive compared to both video conferencing and digital signature platforms. We're actually cheaper than the big players in both of those. And like I mentioned, we offer both sets of functionality for that one price. Tony, you're on mute.
All right. So I'll bring things to close. So massive thanks to Neil. Thank you for joining us from South Africa. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. I know you were unwell yesterday, so brilliant that you could join us today. So thank you very much. Stephen, again, thank you to you. Is there anything else that you want to just say as a kind of closing remark? And
yeah, just a bit of thanks. Thanks, Neil and Chris, for turning up and speaking today. And from us, we given the pandemic, we've got a very busy year ahead, but we'll continue to support all of our clients and any new clients to make sure that they can offer the best user experience and continue to do business both during the pandemic and beyond. So yeah, thanks to everyone for coming along today, and feel free to reach out to me directly on email or LinkedIn.
Brilliant. Thank you all for joining us today. Really appreciate your time and support that you've given us. So many thanks. Speak to you all hopefully soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye now.